And we are live. What is going on, people? I am DL Saint. Those of you in, I guess, the manosphere, you've probably seen me on different platforms, especially the Fresh and Fit platform. I'm all over that. I know those guys are controversial, but they do some good, and those who were involved know what I'm talking about. They put together a fellowship of honorable men. And I'm talking about their Patreon. I'm talking about their uh, Patreon chats that they have set up. And so yeah, that's who I am. That's one of the things that I do. You probably seen me making comments on other people's podcasts and platforms. In particular, Suzette Speaks. Big up to you, Suzette. I see you out there. Hopefully, one of these days you'll see this. Um, Very solid sister, attorney, beautiful woman with a heart of gold and and outstanding work ethic. She's out there getting it. So shout out to you and anyone else out there in this space. I'm brand new to this world, to the YouTube world. I had no idea how difficult uh, this really is. And talking about equipment and cameras, computers. Look, I just hit my desk and everything shook. It's like I was in California again. It was like an earthquake. Um, and learning how to do this stuff and trying to do it right, and getting it done is kind of cool. I mean, yeah, anyone could go out there with their phone. You could take I'm an Android guy. You could take your iPhone or whatever, and you can do videos. And if you go to my page, you'll see a month ago I was doing that. And what I was doing was basically trying to get a gauge for what kind of content people would kind of be interested in. And I was talking about everything from artificial intelligence to a civil war to Second Amendment and home protection and all sorts of stuff. I was talking about timeout. Should we cancel timeout culture? And I began to talk about the entertainment world. I was talking about Don Rickles and Clint Eastwood, and I'm going to be talking more about that moving forward because I'm definitely into entertainment. Um, I was out there just seeing what people would kind of look at, what they would gravitate towards. Red pill, blue pill stuff. I was talking about that. So there's like that whole relationship thing, which is huge um, on the internet in the YouTube world. I mean, that's a really big thing on both sides. The dating, how men feel, how women feel, and all points in between. Dating in the West versus dating in other parts of the world. I haven't done anything on religion. I might delve into that a little bit at some point. I'm sure I will. So I know you guys are wondering, like, well, who the hell are you? Right? Fair question. My name is Don Lewis. I I'm just a regular dude. Uh, I born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was there until I was 18, 19 years old. I enlisted in the United States military. As you can see with that flag behind me, a paratrooper. I was stationed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina for the majority of my 4 year enlistment. And I got to do and see some great things. I am very patriotic in the sense that I believe in the Constitution. I believe in it so much that I put my life on the line for it. I really do. My take on the world and my take on America is a little different. I mean, it's a little surprising. They say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. We all do. If you definitely look at me and make some assumptions, you're probably going to be wrong. You might be right on some things. I have a rich background, so that's one of the things I just kind of wanted to put out there, give you guys a little understanding of who I am. And I've done a lot. I've done so many things in my life. I've been fortunate enough to do so many things. And the things that I have seen, the good, the bad, the horrific, I've seen it, and it's all a part of who I am, and it's all uh, these things have helped me to become the person I am today. And be that a good thing, be that a bad thing, I don't know. Depends on who you talk to. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. Hopefully, moving forward, you guys get to see a little bit more of me. Yeah, what you're gonna see here on this platform is definitely not 100% who I am. I might be a little more extreme on certain things. I might act really funny. I might get really silly, or I might get really serious. I mean, it's like that for all content creators, like that for all actors and things of that nature. You don't really know a person until you can sit down and break bread with them. You sit down and talk to them. If you're in the combat sports, you don't really know them unless you sit down and actually, roll with them if you're the judo guy, or spar with them if you're the boxing type. So, there are many ways to get to know someone, but you really truly can't get to know them unless walk them out in their shoes, like they said back in the day. So, and I believe in that. But I'll do my best to stay true to who I am. I'll do my best to let you people see, that I'm not just projecting a representative here, that I'm actually, being me. So yeah, I mean, there are people who are who they say they are, out there in the world. I ain't gonna lie. Like, you look at someone like Donald Trump. I'm not a Trump guy, but I mean, there's a lot to be said for the fact that he is who he is and he owns it. You know what I mean? That whole unapologetic type person. That's Donald Trump. One of the things I plan to do with this, I don't want to do any editing. I hope to get to the point where I'm doing live broadcast, and I'll be able to interact and see chats and all that kind of stuff. I'm hoping to get to that point pretty quick. I don't want to edit. I don't want to edit this. I want it to come out. I want to stumble over words. I want to use the wrong words. I want you to see me get up and run to go turn the oven off or whatever. I want you guys to see it. I don't want to present some very crisp and clean edited version of me or what I mean, there's people who do that. I don't knock that. If you want to edit your things, that's fine. But if I'm going to edit something, it's going to be a production. Like, if I'm a writer, I'm a stand-up comedian. I have done some small bit parts, some acting stuff, but I'm not union, nothing major. But I do respect Hollywood, and I do understand Hollywood. I recently wrote a script with a new friend that I've met through a mutual friend. Shout out to Chris. And I do plan to shoot that script. It's a film short. I'm proud of it. But right now, like, we wrote it, we're done with it, and I've sent it out to people that I trust, and I got to get notes back, and that's a process. We'll talk about it at some point, because it's tough being creative, especially if you're trying to be creative on that level. It's hard, and you got to have people who really, that you trust, that trust you, and you can give them stuff. You can give them something creative, something that you created, and they can take a look at it and really give you an honest assessment of how they feel, and also give you some creative and technical notes. And I'm fortunate enough to know actors and writers and producers, people who are doing things. And I'm not gonna name drop, you know what I mean? But they are doing things, and I feel so fortunate that I know these people, and I can send them a script, or I can send them something, and they'll take time out of their busy days to read something that I curated and to give me feedback and to give me notes. So, and we'll get into that in the future, and talk more about how the Hollywood world works and what it is, having been out there. I spent 25 years and some change in Southern California, and in the Hollywood, working around Hollywood, moving around in Hollywood, and I was able to see some things, and I'm telling you, it's very interesting, very, very interesting. So I know you guys are thinking, like, Don, what are you going to be talking about on this podcast? And you know what? You guys can call me Saint or call me DL, because I use DL Saint. And just real quick, where's that come from? That's so random, DL Saint. Well, DL, those are my initials. And Saint, when I was in the Army back in 1990, in basic training, the guys in my company would call me St. Louis because my last name is Lewis. So I was St. Louis from Cincinnati, Ohio. And it's just like in that Saving Private Ryan. No, just like in not Saving Private Ryan, but Forrest Gump. It was just like in Forrest Gump when they were in Vietnam and Forrest Gump was pointing to his buddies and he was like, "That's Motown, you know, Motown is from Texas, and that guy over there is, you know, we call him LA, but he's from Florida." It's just one of those kind of weird things that happens in the military. You wind up with these nicknames that have absolutely nothing to do with where you're from, but it's everything to do with your name or something that you did. So it's, hey, that guy over there, his name is Tex, you know, Texas from Washington. Like, it's just the weirdest, it's like the weirdest thing, but it's one of those things that has been, I think maybe not even uniquely American. I'm sure it's like that in every army throughout the history of time. You know what I mean? Like, oh, there's the Spartan over there. Like, where's the Spartan from? You know what I mean? Oh, he's from Africa. So it is what it is. But anyway, that's where that comes from. DL, my initials. Saint was my nickname in basic training. They called me St. Louis, so DL Saint. That's where that came from. So yeah, you can call me what you want. Call me DL, call me Saint, call me Don, whatever. But yeah, that's what I'll be using moving forward on this platform. And it kind of helps me if someone reaches out and say, "Hey, what's up, Saint?" I know where they know me from. You know, if someone comes up to me, "Yo, what's up, Lou?" I know what part of my life that they're from. If someone comes up like, "What's good, Don?" I know what part of the world that they're from and what part of my life they come from. It's kind of weird, but that's how it works, and I like it that way. So what am I going to be talking about? I love politics. I've always been a big political guy. You know what I mean? Pretty much my whole adult life. And the way I look at the world, I look at it in political terms. And by politics, I mean everything that has to do with politics. Not just the money, not just the power, not just the maneuvering, but the networking. To me, politics is networking at the highest level, right? And you see it at every level. You see it with little kids on the playground all the way up to, you know, the UN, you know, level of politics. So that's what I'm going to be talking about mostly on this platform. There's another project that we're getting off the ground. It's called the Downrange Podcast, where it's myself and James Swanson. We were in the same unit in the United States Army, and we've been brothers ever since. And we will be talking about the black man's experience, not just every black man, but our experiences as black men moving in today's world. And we'll be talking more of the traditional political stuff, you know, Republicans and Democrats, liberal, conservative. You know, we'll be talking about things like Black Lives Matter and, you know, the policing of America. We'll be talking about how the impact it has on people of color versus people we will call just normal Americans, which Caucasian Americans. We'll talk about the 1%. We'll talk about the working class. We'll talk about all that. So that'll be the Downrange Podcast. I'll definitely be sending out information on that as we get going. It's funny, we have shot a couple of episodes already. We were trying to go with the live studio feel with that one, and it's becoming really difficult to just schedule the crew and get everyone there and do what needs to be done. So we're probably going to go with this format where we'll just have the two boxing talking heads, and then I'll showing whatever we want to show when we need to show it, as far as videos or as far as any text we need to show, any documentation or any whatever. So we'll probably do it that way. I ideally would love to get back to where we're just doing it in studio. I think that'll be great. And hopefully, you know, we'll get there. That'll be one of my long-term, I have medium-term goals is to get Downrange Podcast up and running, and then to get us back into a studio. So, so with all that said, you know, our life, the life when you always hear people making references to the game, you know, man, don't hate the player, hate the game, you know, quit playing games. You hear all this stuff about the game. I don't want to be a part of any games. And I was watching this interview with Guy Ritchie, who happens to be my favorite filmmaker. And he was saying, whether you want to be a part of the game or not, you're born into it. And you know, and you're going to be playing this game until you die. It is what it is. And I'm paraphrasing, but he said something very close to that. And I thought that was profound because he's correct. We have to play the game. We are in the game. And since you can't not play the game, it's best that you master the game. Right? And uh, there's another person out there, Andrew Tate, who I admire. I met Andrew through the Fresh and Fit world. Actually, I had an opportunity to meet him in person. Stand-up guy, true gentleman. You can, you know what I mean? I got a lot of respect for the brother. And he says the same thing. Like he approaches life as chess. He looks at his moves like he's in a chess match, and he has a chess background, and he's a very intelligent guy, and that's how he moves about. So he's in the game. Like everyone's in this game, whether you want to be or not, right? So that's why I have such a huge interest in politics, right? So what I hope to get across in this particular with this particular platform is all these different bubbles that I've been a part of growing up. You know, what I mean, from the time I was a young preteen until now, and I remember a lot of what was going on. You know what I mean? Like how the world worked, how I perceived the world, and then more importantly, how I was able to understand how the world really works as opposed to the way I was told that the world is supposed to work. And those are some of the things that I want to talk about. So the different bubbles, like life in the streets, right? There is politics involved in the street. And street politics is unlike any other form of politics that I have personally encountered, right? Street politics. You know, people talk about, well, what's the worst case scenario? What's the worst thing that can happen to you in the streets? Like, well, you could lose your life. That's the worst thing that can happen to you in the street. Second worst thing that can happen to you in the street is you could take someone's life, right? And in essence, that'll end your life. You'll get caught, prosecuted for murder, put away for life, or in some states executed, depending on what crime you committed, right? If you don't, let's say you get away with the crime, whoever you took out got people that love them. And those folks, don't forget, they're going to come see you, right? So they're going to come see you. So you might have to deal with that. And depending on who it is, you're right. It's you don't want to have to deal with that. If you take a life, just what it does to you emotionally and mentally, right? That's just oh man, that's hard. Like, you really don't want to have to deal with that. But all that's part of street politics, right? And it's not all doom and gloom. There is some good things that happen in the street. There are good people in the streets, but you need to know how to move. You have to be on your tippy toes. You stay on your toes. You have to be thinking all the time. You don't want to get caught sleeping. Like that was the biggest term we used growing up. You don't want to get caught sleeping. And I watch a lot of these, it's sad, but you see these rappers out here today, these young guys, they're out here and they're making moves and they're having a good time and they're living their best lives, and then they forget for a moment, you know what I mean, about the street code and the street politics. And I'm not talking about like just the code itself, about the no snitching and all that kind of stuff. That is what it is. I'm just talking about the way you move in the hood or the barrio or the trailer park, right? The way you move, that's important. Someone had to teach you that. That's politics, right? And when things do go wrong, like you see in those gangster movies, you got to have a sit down. That's a real thing. I mean, it may not be a formal, hey, go get the boss, we got to have a sit down kind of thing. Nah, but you got to talk to some people about something. My people got a problem with your people, and this is getting out of hand, so we need to sit down and work this out. You know what I mean? Let's talk about this, man. What's going on? Hopefully we can resolve this thing. Hopefully we can just come up with a solution, right? Or worst case scenario, all right, maybe we just put the gloves on and let these two dudes work in the ring or work it out without gunplay, right? Without somebody getting cut, without somebody getting hit with a bat. So that's all about street politics. So those are some of the things I'm going to cover. And I woke up today and I felt like this. I felt like Marvin the Martian. I was just kind of not in a great mood when I woke up this morning. But then I get a call from my brother who just got home, right? Who got caught up in some street political stuff and had to sit down for a while. And now I'm happy. I'm in a great mood. I'm so happy that my brother's home that I feel like that. That is how I'm gonna feel for the rest of the day. Big old happy face, right? I love my brother. I miss my brother. He's home. I just got off the phone with him before I started this broadcast. He's well. He's happy, and he is so wise now. Like I could tell just from that quick phone call that we had, like he's a different man, right? Now he sat down for almost 5 years, right, for crimes that he didn't commit, and the prosecution couldn't prove. But we'll get into that soon enough. Best believe we're gonna have my brother on here. We'll have Jay Lou on here to tell his story, and we'll be able to talk about the politics, right, of our judicial system and how it really works, right? So that's one of the things we want to talk about. Um, the politics is involved in the army, right? The the things I learned in the army and the things that I did and the brotherhood that's and the sisterhood because I serve with females as well. That changed my life. That changed my life because of the things I learned in the United States Army. Because of um, words that I heard the words before, but I never knew the meaning of the words. Duty, honor, right, courage. I didn't understand what that truly meant as a high school student, and you read the stories about this and that. You don't realize how hard it is to maintain your honor. You know what I mean? When you're facing serious adversity, when you're out there, right? And you got to get your job done. People are relying on you. Their lives are in your hands. You have to secure this flank. You have to get up that hill. You have to go over that wall, right? And if you fail, these people that you love, these people you've been training with, these people you've been around could die, right? I learned that in the Army. I learned that as a paratrooper. You know what I mean? I've worked with guys who didn't know me from Adam, right? But will snatch you up and throw you on their back and carry you a mile to safety if they felt they had to. Why? Because you have us Army written on your shirt, just like they have us Army written on their shirt, right? Because these men know that you would do it for them, right? And I gotta tell you, man, that my experience in the Army, I was in the Army for 4 years, and that shaped who I am to this day. Right? To me, there's nothing more important than my honor. Like I try to do the right thing as much as I can. If I give my word, I will definitely hold my word. I try. And there's some people out there like, well, you gave me your word, you didn't do this. You gave me your word, you didn't do that. There's always more to it, right? Because all we really have in this world is our name. Is who we are. I mean, that's it. That's all we got. You can make all the money in the world you want, right? But it's how you made that money. What did you compromise to get that money, right? And again, that's political. Some people okay with that. Howard, what was it? Harvey Weinstein, horrible, horrible man. I agree. But here's the thing: he kept his word. He made an agreement. He entered into an agreement. It was morally corrupt with grown-ups, right? He said, "I want you to do this, and in return, I'll do. You can do that. I'll make you famous. I'll make you this, that, and the third." He kept his word. I mean, I didn't really follow that too closely, but it seemed to me that every time he made those horrible arrangements, he did hold up his end. Again, I'm not defending the man, but he did keep his word. Um, and to me, that means more than all the money, all the gold in Fort Knox. You know what I mean? Just keep your word. If I can move through this world and I can hold my head high because I was able to carry myself a certain way, then I'm gonna be proud of that. So yeah, again, don't counsel me before I get started out there, people. You social justice warriors. I'm not saying Harvey Weinstein is a good guy, and he's not. He was a horrible man, but he kept his word. And if I'm wrong, somebody send me the information and show me where I'm wrong, because he promised these women things and he got them. And one last thing before I leave that topic. Weinstein was doing horrible things, making these deals with women, sexually, whatever he was doing, right? But there were guys out there, and there are guys out there who are making these same deals with men, right? Think about that. There are men, there are young actors out there willing to sacrifice their bodies in exchange for a role in a movie or a hit or whatever. I'm just saying, it goes both ways. You hear a few of the stories, but it is more prevalent than y'all think. So, just want to throw that out there. And of course, we will do an episode dedicated to that, I promise you. You have my word. So I was a soldier. And then we'll be talking about the political life of the lower working class. When I got out of the military, came home, right, for 4 years, and I worked hard. I came back, I was back to the streets, right, and the streets hadn't changed, so I still had to deal with that. And you got to figure out how you're gonna get your money, right? Everybody got some sort of hustle. Some people was out there cranking. Some people had no problem, they want to go out there and they want to sell that green. Some people want to go out there, they want to sell that, we called it butter back in the day, but they want to sell that hard cocaine. They want to sell that powder cocaine. Some people want to sell that heroin. Those are choices. Some people were out there, they were muscle, right? They were hiring guns. There were guys out there that stick up kids. You know what I'm saying? They running in, they're just gonna take theirs. They did that. That was their hustle. There was guys out there who would just go around to crap games in different neighborhoods and were gamblers, and that's how they made their money. They was hustling that way. And there were guys out there buying real estate, legit. But everyone just wanted to get a good job, right? So my hustle was working. I had 2 full-time jobs, and I would always have a part-time job. And at one point, I had the 2 full-time jobs, I had a part-time job, and I was volunteering on political campaigns. So I was doing all this stuff as a young guy. And, that's one of the things that people need to understand. If you're a young man, right, there's no excuse for you not to be working. None. Zero excuse. There's no excuse for you to be broke in America, right? And I don't care what color you are, but especially if you're white. You know what I mean? And I'll get into that later because I know that might sound kind of harsh, but come on, let's face it, let's be 100 with it. America was designed for a certain segment of the population to succeed. And I'm just being 100. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying my feelings are hurt about it. I don't care. Those are the conditions on the ground. And I learned that in the Army, right? You can prep and you can be briefed and you can have all this intel, but it ain't gonna mean nothing when you get your boots on the ground. You get there and it's like, oh, we're supposed to have 7th Armor off our right flank, and 7th Armor ain't there. We still got a mission. So what? You still got to get the job done, right? It's not supposed to be this hard. We weren't told that it was going to be, the bridges were going to be blown out. Oh well, it's time to get wet. So I just make that comparison to let you guys know that there's no excuse. You have to work, especially if you're a young man. So I did all that. So I'll definitely be doing some episodes on what it was like being a working class, lower, how did I phrase it? A lower working class. I was a janitor. It was one of my main jobs. I was a janitor. I worked every job you can think of, from security to doing wire transfers at banks, delivery jobs, landscaping, you name it, I did it. Right? And I still had time to go out and volunteer on some political campaigns. And I still had time to hit the clubs, chase women, you know what I mean? And I was kicking it with my people. We still in the streets, we still in the hood, right? I was right there. I ain't gonna lie to you. I did a little bit of dirt. You know what I mean? Somebody come at you with a lick, a solid lick. I ain't mad at you if you jump on that. It is what it is, right? And I will say this. I never did a crime. I never committed a crime that I wasn't willing to do the time for. Ever. We got caught doing whatever we was doing, I was gonna sit down. I wasn't gonna say shit. I was gonna sit down. Period. Right? So this whole no snitching thing, you know, if you want to get you a deal or whatever, man, that's on you, but I was never doing that. If I did something, I knew what I was doing. If I got caught, I was just gonna do my little time or whatever. So that's just me. Again, back to integrity, back to honor. I'm sorry, man. I ain't snitching. You know, man, I ain't telling on nobody. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna go ahead and sit down, I'm gonna come out, and I ain't expecting nothing from nobody. Yeah, it'd be nice to come out, and, you know what I mean, your people respect you and they give you a little bag or something. Be nice. But I wasn't expecting that. So we'll get into those stories as well. So, and then I did work in the upper working class. I was in the upper working class. I was an air traffic controller for over 20 years, right? I did well. I did extremely well. That was a very respectable career. And I was good at it, right? I worked hard. I took it serious. But that work ethic I brought with me had me on the grind. So I was an air traffic controller during the day, stand-up comedian, slant promoter, slant producer during the nights. So I'm controlling airplanes in the daytime, and at nighttime, I'm in Hollywood at the Comedy Store or Laugh Factory or some open mic at some, you know, bar somewhere, you know, learning that craft. I'm learning how to be a stand-up comedian. I'm here to tell y'all, stand-up comedy is hard. That is an art form that is very difficult. And tomorrow, I'm going to be talking with my good friend Ty Barnett, who is an established comedian, actor, writer, solid dude. He and I have been friends forever. We met, you know, in the comedy trenches, so to speak. And we're going to be talking about stand-up comedy and in the world of entertainment, but in particular stand-up comedy. And we're going to be doing that tomorrow. So I should have by Sunday or Monday, I should have that up. Hopefully I'll have that up tomorrow night. But I hope no later than Monday I should have that up. And that's, you know, fingers crossed that we can link up our schedules because Ty's still in LA and I'm here in Florida. But I look forward to doing that because there are some great stories. And right now out there in the world, there's a lot of talk about, like right now, T.I., the rapper, is doing stand-up. So there's a lot of talk about that right now in the comedic world. And Ty and I were talking about it last night. We must have talked about an hour and a half about it. And yeah, you definitely, when I put it up, tune in because it's definitely going to be eye-opening, that world, you know what I mean? So yeah, the world was way different. Working as an air traffic controller, you know, in the tower, working with people who have been in the business forever. I'm talking about the older guys. I worked with a guy, Phil Awning, you know what I mean? Rest in peace, Phil. Like Phil was an air traffic control legend. He was an air traffic controller before there was a Federal Aviation Administration. Like, air traffic comes under the FAA, Federal Aviation. Phil was in the job before the FAA even existed. That's how long Phil was in it. We used to make jokes that, you know, Phil Awning gave the Wright brothers taxi instructions. That's like one of the jokes we used to say to him because he's been doing it for so long. And every pilot would know his voice. You know, it just is. And there's a documentary out there. It's called 16 Right, 16R. Right, just type that into your search engine. The documentary come out is done by Brian Terwilliger Productions. Shout out to Brian, really, really solid guy. What's up, Brian, man? If you ever see this, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to you. But it's a really good documentary about air traffic control, in particular with general aviation. And general aviation are the small airplanes, so you like the little Cessnas, Bonanzas, you know, twins, like you got your King Airs and whatnot, you know, and your private jets. So those small airports that you might see off a road somewhere if you're driving up a major freeway and you look over and you see some small little airport with all these little airplanes flying in and out. That's considered general aviation. General aviation, and Brian's uh, documentary is a really good look into that world, how politics is destroying general aviation in America, and that's a freedom that you can't really find in the world, which again, politics is tied into everything. General aviation, the freedom to fly, right? We take for granted in this country, right? If you're out here watching this video right now, you listen to me talk, you can go out, go to your nearest airport, right? Sign up for lessons, pay an instructor, go out there and learn how to fly a single engine light aircraft. They'll teach you everything you need to know, right? And then if you have the money, you can buy yourself a nice single engine, a Bonanza or a Cherokee 6 or a Pilatus or something like that, a Malibu. And you can fly anywhere you want to go. I live in Tampa, Florida. I could go get my pilot license if I want to, right? I could go out and buy myself a nice Meridian or Malibu, a nice Malibu, and I could fly to Miami in a couple hours. I could fly down to Opelika, I could fly down to Tamiami, right? I'm free to do so. You can't do that in the UK. It's really restrictive. You can't do that in Australia. You can't do that in New Zealand, Africa, right? Europe. It's really restrictive. But here you can do it. And there's been a push to, stifle general aviation, which is crazy because people, if you ask someone, where do you think the captain of your airplane came from? If you're flying on some, you name the air carrier, you're flying some U.S. air carrier, and you're going from Miami to L.A. Well, where did the captain learn how to fly? Well, military. Not all of them. Most of them learned how to fly via the general aviation community. These are men and women who love to fly, and again, there's politics involved in that, and there's a whole world, of aviators out there. And if we destroy that community, where the pilots going to come from? No one thinks about that. There's politics involved. So I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to be a part of that world as well. And there's some great people out there flying airplanes. I've met legends. I've met legends. Just off the top of my head, Clay Lacy, an aviation legend. Phil Ani, I already talked about, aviation legend, air traffic controller. I've met. I met so many guys. I met guys who flew in World War II and had kills. I met guys who flew in Korea and Vietnam and had kills. I mean, that's crazy. I was shaking hands with some old guy who could barely walk around. I'm like, he was an ace. What? That guy? Like, yeah, he was an ace. And all this is in that documentary. Like you get a glimpse into this world. You get to meet some of these people some of them are no longer with us, and some of them are. But it is a very good documentary. I encourage you guys to go watch it. 16 Right, 16R. Brian Terwilliger. Go watch that documentary. So yeah, we'll talk about that. How working upper middle class or upper working class is how that life was different than the lower working class, and what did that mean to my everyday life and stuff like that. Just taxes alone, right? I remember I went from barely making $30,000 a year, right? I did all those little side jobs. I busted my butt. I worked hard, right? And I would make maybe, I never made over $32,000 in any particular those 4 years I got out of the Army, from 1994 until 1998. Right, in 1998 I got hired by the FAA, and within 2 years I was making over six figures. That's huge, right? I got into tax trouble because I didn't understand taxes. I didn't understand it, right? No one I knew, no one in my circles could help me with that. I came from the streets. We don't know nothing about that, right? So that's something I'll be talking about in upcoming episodes as well. How you learn these things. So yeah, and I got notes here. You see me leaning over, and I'm checking off my notes. And then What do I have here? Political networking at all levels, right? From Cincinnati to DC, right? So I can't tell you how many times that my political friends have been able to help me out with real life scenarios. And I'll share this one story. So my cousin and I were living in Cincinnati, both doing well, like well enough for us. We were doing good. Like for back then, you couldn't tell us nothing. We was getting it. My cousin was working for a company which he is still with to this day, and I was working my jobs. I was a janitor at a high school, and I was working my little part-time jobs and all this other kind of stuff, doing my little hustles. And we wanted to move into these townhouses. We're in the suburbs of Cincinnati. Like, guess us, we wanted to get out of the hood. Like, we was in the streets, but we wanted to lay our heads somewhere safe. So we wanted to move into the suburbs. And there was some apartment complexes there. There were townhouses, right? It was 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, attached garage. So it was like a multi-level townhome. It was beautiful, right? And the rent was pricey, a little bit pricey for Cincinnati, but it wasn't stupid. But we qualified for the apartment. So we apply, they deny us. Can't get into this apartment. And I couldn't believe it. Like credit was on point, or we had the money. Like I did not understand why. So I went back and I asked them, hey, what's going on here? I don't understand why. What was the reason for you guys denying us? They gave me some, BS reason. And then I called the housing authority people, said, hey, I'm trying to get this apartment, and I believe these people are discriminating against us. It's my cousin now because we're black men. And they sent testers. I guess they have a process, and when they will send people, if you make a complaint, they will send people out to see if there's, like if there's any credit to what you're saying, right? So they called me back a couple of days later. I think it was. I'm like, yeah, you're right. We believe you guys have a case. We sent our testers out, and blah blah blah. How do you want to proceed? I'm like, how do I want to proceed? We want to rent the place. So I went back to the place. I went to the office. Said, listen, right, I see what's going on here. I've already started the process of filing a formal complaint. They've sent people here. They say that we have a case. What's going on here? And I went into this rant. I wasn't screaming and yelling like crazy so they couldn't call the police. But I went into this little rant, and I was like, at some point in my little rant, I was saying I worked so hard. I'm a soldier. I'm a veteran of Desert Storm. I was just on this campaign. Like we just won Cincinnati City Council. I worked on Manette Cooper campaign for Cincinnati City Council. Rest in peace, Manette. We recently lost Manette. I love you, Manette. I miss you. She was an amazing woman, an amazing sister. And I definitely will do an episode dedicated to her. So they stopped me at that point in my rant. Wait. Did you say you know Manette Cooper? I'm like, yeah, I worked on her campaign. She won. Like, yeah. They told me to get a letter of reference from her on Cincinnati City Council letterhead. If you can get us a letter that says she knows you, we'll let you move in. Blew my mind. Like, what? So I get on the phone. I call Manette's office, right? I'm talking to her secretary who also worked on the campaign and got hired as her secretary. And then they told me to come down to talk to Manette. They told her what was going on, and this all happened within 48 hours. So it would be like 2 business days. It might have been a weekend in there. So I think I made the call on Friday. By Tuesday, I'm sitting in front of Manette in her office in Cincinnati City Council chambers, right? So Manette's like, what's going on, Don? I said, listen, this is the deal. These people are trying to discriminate against my cousin and I. I've started the process with the housing authority or whatever. They say we have a case, but hey, I just want to move in. I just want to be able to live here. And Minette's like, so why do you need me? I was like, well, I went on this little rant and I said that I worked on your campaign, and they told me if I can get a letter from you on Cincinnati City Council letterhead that simply states that I know you, I worked on your campaign. It's not like a letter of reference, or as far as there's no legal tie to us. You're not gonna have to co-sign or anything like that. It's nothing like that. It's just they want a letter that basically says that I did in fact work on your campaign. I do know you. And she sat back in her chair and she folded her hands, something similar to this, and she said, "That's a damn shame. Come back tomorrow." Came back tomorrow. Secretary handed me an envelope. Inside that envelope was a letter stating that I did in fact work on her campaign and that I was an asset to her campaign and a good guy. You know, she worded it really well, and she signed it, Minette Cooper, and it was on Cincinnati City Council, Cincinnati letterhead. I took that out to the place. We moved in 3 days later, right? So people were like, "Holy shit! I don't believe that story." It happened. It happened. Were it not for my political tie to an individual who won a city council race, I wouldn't have been able to live in that apartment. And we lived there for a year. We loved it. It was great. And here's the thing. The place that we were moving to was in the suburbs, but it was its own city. It wasn't attached to Cincinnati, right? Cincinnati City Council had nothing to do with what was going on out there, right? It was a completely different area. But they let us move in. So those are the kind of stories that I would hope to share on this platform. That's that's just one of, I can't tell you how many stories I have about how politics has helped me personally do things that I want to do. Yeah, I got a million stories, and hopefully I'll be able to share some of them on this platform. I'm definitely going to be bringing in my political friends. I have friends who are elected officials. I have friends who are political insiders. I have friends who are big time donors and stuff like that, like wealthy folks. I'm gonna do my best to get them to join in on some of these broadcasts, so you can get a perspective from them. And we'll do the same thing. Tomorrow, we plan to have Ty Barnett on here. Ty and I'll be talking about the comedic world, and then moving forward, I'll have acting friends and director friends and producers and stuff like that, screenwriters, and we'll talk about that process and what actually goes on in Hollywood, and why crappy movies get made, right? And how much money really is involved, and who is actually making the decisions. I worked in the hip hop industry once upon a time. I was a part of All Net Records in Cincinnati, Ohio. You know what I mean? And I did a lot of street promotions and stuff like that. So hopefully I might be able to bump into some people that I know that are in the business that I personally knew, and then I'll be able to, have people come on and share their experiences in today's world. So we'll talk about hip hop and pop music and rock and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what I hope to do. So that's it, y'all. I'm coming up on 50 minutes. So if you guys are watching this, I want to say hello and I want to say thank you. I'm definitely going to make a push to do this. And my goal is to get 1,000 subscribers as soon as I can, and get the viewership up and the watch time up, so we can get monetized. And then once we get monetized, I want to be able to jump on there, and so we can do the super chats and all that kind of stuff and really push hard. I'm a retired air traffic controller who has a lot of hustle in him. So this is one of the things I really plan on doing. I'll be in Miami. Today is Friday, March 4th. I'll be in Miami on March 12th, which is coming up next week. It is my cousin's birthday, and I'm coming down there to celebrate with her. Another very powerful woman, right, who's doing her thing. And she introduces me to all these really powerful people. So hopefully I'll be able to get her on one of these episodes and talk about what life is like as a powerful black woman. At some point, I'm going to talk about the politics and dynamics of dating in the West. So maybe that'll be that episode. So, all right, that's it. Again, if you're out there watching this, thank you for watching. Stick with me, give me a shot. Let's see what we can do. If you have any comments or anything you want to see, post it below. And I'll definitely take a look at it and address it. Especially now because I think we have 16 subscribers, so it's really easy for me to keep up with messages and you know, like to interact back and forth. Hopefully we'll get to a point where I have to hire somebody to go through and respond to all the messages and all of the requests and stuff like that. That would be a really good problem to have. I hope I have that problem here in the next 6 to 8 months. So, all right, thanks again. It's your boy, DL Saint. I'll talk to you later.